So over the past couple of days, I've been part of a floor hockey league for my school. And I did something that I thought I'd never do. So, this is probably going to be a long video, so I hope y'all are prepared for that. So, first thing we got to speak about is how I actually joined this league. So I was part of a hockey league for Wednesday and Friday. Friday being the time I'm filming this video, Friday evening. I did the unbelievable thing in the afternoon, so it's a couple hours post this. So first we're going to talk about how I got up here. So I was in training camp and my skills were outnumbered. And since my skills were so dominant in that instance, I actually went part of the league. So, this being said, it has been a good past couple of days because of this reason. So I thought I'd actually never outnumber any of these people before I did this. To take into consideration there are 12 games played Wednesday through Friday. And so on Wednesday, the 12 regular season games are played, those being 5 minutes long. And in this instance, yeah. So apparently the only game I lost was game 2. We were 7-1 going into the first intermission at game that is in between game 8 and game 9, where we were 7-1. This led us to thinking that we were in doubt for a 7-win curse. The 7-win curse refers to this league, to this so-called league, where teams who started 7-1 through the first intermission would end up missing the playoffs. So that's what it refers to. However, in the intermission between games 11 and 12, which was about 30 minutes, we were 10-1. We became the 4th team in history to achieve 10 wins in this league. So we weren't going to go undefeated. We were part of the Rochester Sabres, and the only team we lost to was the Montreal Oilers, who actually went 9-3 that season. So after that, we won Game 12, and we finished with a league record 11-1 record. Now, most of the top competitors either get 8-4 or 9-3, so it's actually really rare to see 11-1. In fact, we were the first team to do so. But what would happen next would be something special. As a matter of fact, we were 11-1, so we became the 4th double-digit winner. So a part of the other 3 teams that have done this, they each fell short in either the top 2, the top 4, or the top 8. So we thought we were obviously screwed. So this instance, we tried our best. We played the Carolina Hurricanes in the, I'm thinking NHL now. Anyways, we played the Raleigh Hurricanes, and eventually we won that 4-0. Not games, but this was the playoffs starting on Friday, and we won 4-0 as it's a best of 1. We won 4-0. Following this, we had to face the Montreal Oilers, who were seed 4, amongst the 8 teams who made the playoffs out of 20 that are in the entire league. We had to face the Montreal Oilers. We were screwed until we pulled off a massive 1-0 victory in a shocking upset. The Rochester Sabres were off to the Stanley Cup. And what would happen after that? Well, I'm going to have to break this down in a full script summary. You know what I mean by this. The 3rd chapter of this podcast, or of this documentary, is going to be something special, and probably one of the craziest things I've ever done in my entire life. So to break it all down, it's a best of 5 series, first to 3 wins. So In this instance, in Game 1, we were up against the Dallas Stars. We were up to face the Dallas Stars, who were the 2 seed. And we were down 2-0 before eventually it became 2-2. So we had to have a tiebreaker round. And therefore, me scoring 2 goals. And eventually, I called the game winner to make it 3-2 in overtime for a victory for the Rochester Sabres. We were up 1-0. And the Rochester Sabres in this league has never actually won. So after this... Also, if I said Dallas Stars earlier, think of it as Dallas Triangles. That's the name. Yeah, it's parodying NHL teams. Paradox. So, Game 2... Well, we were up 2-0, and eventually at half, I pulled off a record 2 interceptions in that game, following 2 steals against the other team, and therefore one of them sealed the other team's fate, which is the Dallas Triangles. So then that led us to Game 2 being a victory. This was monumental, as the Rochester Sabres were 1 game away from actually hoisting the Stanley Cup. At this point, I was about to set a record. I had 10 interceptions heading into this finals, Game 3. The record is 12. So I had to pull off 3 interceptions to break the overall regular and playoff season interception record, which was not been broken for over 6 seasons. So upon this, we got to work. It was yet again a 5v5, and we eventually... So, I pulled off another interception, and another. I was at 12 interceptions, tied for the record at halftime of this game, which was 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. And then eventually, we were up 5-0. 5 made the record for the biggest, not only at half, but in playoff history. So, in this instance, we eventually scored a 6th goal, and we had a 13th interception done by me, breaking the overall record. We ended up winning 6-2 in Game 3 against the Dallas Triangles. The Rochester Sabres hoisted the Lombardi Trophy, and after that, I was named MVP. I was like sobbing and crying so much about this because I never thought I'd actually see this day. So this was honestly a moment that I thought I would have never achieved. The Rochester Sabres eventually became the champion after a 6-2 victory against the Dallas Triangles in Game 3, and actually pulled off a sweep for the first time since 2019, where the Edmonton Oilers done so against the same team. In an instance, these statistics will blow your mind. Our 4th and final chapter will share just this. So in our 4th and final chapter of the podcast/documentary for Eric Cronin's Floor Hockey League legacy for the school, we gotta break this down. The total amount of distance traveled within these 17 games overall was a record 4,921 meters. This is equivalent to over 3 full miles, and is also equivalent to over 50 football fields. Insanely enough, this was also a record, the previous record being 4,042. Then for our next statistic, the most amount of interception distance done, this being just 103 meters. While that may not seem like much, an average player has around 95 in its entire career, and I was only a rookie at this. Former record for a single season was 98, so I shattered this and I became the first to do it in 3-digit style. Next statistic is the most amount of interceptions, obviously 13. So yeah, I shared that earlier, and the record was 12. So I broke that as well across, so that was 13 interceptions across 17 games, the most being 3 for a single game, which was the 17th. And then for a final statistic I know about, the final statistic I know about is the most consecutive goals scored on possessions, which is so I scored 3 goals in game 3 on 3 consecutive puck possessions. Followed along with this statistic in total non-consecutively, the most amount of goals done by a single player being 23 across 17 games. The most within this exact stretch is 21. So the record has been handed over to me. So I broke 5 records throughout 5 measurable statistics within reason. So those statistics are what's been shared today. So yeah, tell me, should I come back for floor hockey next season? Let me know in the comments. About that, I did change my logo, my profile picture. I just wanted to share that, even though it's not relevant to the video, because I just wanted new design, and I just feel like the old one's getting bland. So yeah, anyways, thank you for 250 subscribers. I also gotta say that as my final announcement of the day. Thank you for 250 subscribers on the main channel. Anyways, that's gonna do it for today's podcast, for today's documentary. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out. And yeah, I'm now an MVP. So for the first time as an MVP special, peace out. Double peace.